It's important that I explained why there was a need to review the budget. The country was faced, and indeed the state was faced with two major challenges. One was a global health pandemic, and the second was an economic headwind that was against us. The supply chain around the world was slowing down, and therefore activities, especially in Lagos, like in most places around the world, were also slowing down. The result of that would be a reduction in our revenue sources because people are not working and people are not producing. And what that means is that people's livelihood will immediately be affected. 73% of the households in Lagos actually live by the wages by the day. And so when there's a lockdown, we begin to face livelihood challenges by the next day. And that's why we needed to review the budget. The reduction was about 21% downwards, basically to reprioritize the budget and focus the budget on areas that would help solve this wage challenge or this livelihood challenge. And that review was not going to be affecting the themes agenda of Mr. Governor, because that remained intact. And the meaning of all this is that Lagos as a state has shown by the way it carried on throughout the period of this challenge and the reprioritization of the budget, that it is a resilient city and can withstand pandemics like the one that has just come. It shows also the resilience of our people, and it shows the resilience of the government. Having gone through a pandemic and it's still on, all right, it's important that we then tell ourselves, what's this pandemic? It's not a 100-meter dash, it's a marathon. And therefore, you need to figure out how to live with the pandemic and ensure it progresses from stage to stage till it thins out. And what did we say we would do? One, we needed to continue to have a very strong pandemic response. The second thing we felt we should do was to restart the economy, the Lagos economy, and thirdly, we needed to rethink how Lagos should operate going forward. And the entire revised budget was going to help support and drive this. In the area of the pandemic response, it was purely about health. We got grants from the federal government, we got grants from well-meaning Lagosians and investor groups who were interested in how the pandemic is going to be managed. And we basically expanded our isolation centers. We are going to be investing in an infectious disease research center. And for our children, we are moving to try and do a new children's hospital. And by the time we're through, I believe it will be one of the largest in the region. By the way, we needed to restart the economy. Lagos is a commercial hub, it's a commercial and a big market hotbed. It was difficult to close and continue to close and lock down Lagos, and which is why we pursued a strategy by systematically easing the lockdown so that people can go back to work in a safe manner. And then lastly, to rethink the way we operate going forward, and which was why Mr. Governor announced that we needed to then take steps, because if you are going to continue with this for a long term, then it was important that you structured our way of living, our way of communal existence in a manner that it is safe and it is manageable. And then guidelines started to come out from government as to how places of gathering will open and what social distancing would mean in the new Lagos. Therefore, you needed different sets of protocols, right? You needed to leverage digitization. You needed to know where the people are, where they live, who they were. So we're going to be supporting LASRA to move ahead with its plan to register more and more citizens and to drive that on a continuous basis, right? We needed to continue our broadband process. You'll recall that the House of Assembly came during the COVID period to approve exceptionally our 3,000 kilometer broadband infrastructure, which is our unified dock system on a public-private partnership basis, where the concessionaire basically uses its own fund to drive 3,000 kilometer broadband around the metropolitan and around the state generally. That was going to drive our digitization. In that same period, we got the Smart City project moving, which will ride upon that backbone, because it was going to be a new Lagos where cabinet meetings was going to be held online, and where files and a lot of things was going to be treated in a digital way. And going forward, we're going to continue to strengthen this. We're continuing to invest in our campus technology infrastructure. We're investing in different kinds of hackathons to basically drive technology innovation in trying to solve the challenges that Lagos faces going forward. Yes, education. Education is one sector that has been also very challenged. It's also a sector that speaks to our future, and therefore we must, as a part of figuring out how to continue operating in Lagos, we must figure out how our education sector must proceed. If you notice, during the pandemic, it was quite confused globally as to what should happen to schools. But Lagos rose up to the challenge quite early to get our students to begin to learn online and to get them to learn through electronic media, right? And a lot of that did go on while we try to figure out methods and strategies by which the education sector will open. So we'll continue to invest a lot. All the investment which I talked about on the technology side is going to become a platform, right, for which we will drive our education sector further. Our higher institutions in Lagos also got engaged through technology, right? So it's the reason why our investment and our partnership to drive the broadband and to drive the smart city was going to be important. If you recall, even on the health side, we even launched a telemedicine so that we can remotely consult and deal with health challenges. So for us, really, as we work together with the people of Lagos to drive through the challenges that the pandemic will bring and the economic challenges that will come as a result, it's important that the people of Lagos, as usual, remain very calm. It's important that no one panics. We are all in good hands. We've seen Lagos do great things during this pandemic. We've seen ourselves support one another. The contribution of the investing public, the business community, and individual groups and NGO working together with Lagos State government and working alone to support vulnerable Lagosians and support one another basically has been tremendous. That's the spirit of Lagos. We must keep those flames flying and keep on supporting one another. One thing about Lagos and Lagosians is the spirit of enterprise. No one, not even COVID, can take that from us. And we expect and encourage Lagosians to be as innovative as they've always been, to be as creative as they can be, and to support and work together with government to create the Lagos of our dream.